Hey there, everyone. It's been a few years since I came back to YouTube to make any kind of content. Many years ago, I used to do video games off of my phone, or I was doing reactions of. No, not reactions. What am I talking about? Of trying not to laugh challenges because back in the day, in those times, I kept watching Markiplier do those type of things, like video game content, as I'm a big fan of Markiplier. And I'm a big fan of a lot of content users on YouTube. But things have changed there recently. You know, years have passed. Some people are drifting off of the platforms. People are starting their own thing. But nonetheless, there, I was a big fan back in the day of Markiplier doing those type of contents of video games and try not to laugh challenges. Those are always the best to me on a good night. So I tried to do those, and well, you probably saw them. Didn't do so well, but then I stopped doing it for a while because I got caught up with life. We all get caught up with day-to-day things like bills, do adult stuff, go and go to work. Come home, you're tired, you're dragging your feet, and you lost motivation. And I'm saying that actually for myself. Some people are different. Some people don't do it because they don't want to be on camera. Some people have their conspiracy theories. Some people just, it's different for everybody. But in my case, life got ahead of me, and I was trying to keep up with bills. I was trying to keep keep afloat because I'm not the richest man. I'm not anything like that. My name is actually Donald, but I'm not the Donald. Our president that we have nowadays, Donald Trump. I'm not actually him. So I gotta keep pushing. I gotta keep going with my life. But things have gotten to a different standpoint in life now. Because as of March 4th of this year, I don't know if I may have shown him or not, but I had a twin brother. And I say had because he recently just, back on March 4th, just earned his wings and he went home. Now, that's my version of what happened to it, to try to keep it as pleasant as possible. Why are people messaging me? I don't get it. As of March 4th of 2025, my twin brother passed away due to a fentanyl poisoning. And I call it as a fentanyl poisoning because, in actual explanation for anybody who has a fentanyl poisoning, it's really that somebody just had an overdose and he didn't make it. That's what I've experienced in my life when people claim that somebody had a fentanyl poisoning. Sometimes it's somebody just laced fentanyl on a certain products and nobody was aware that it was in there. Some people get that slipped in their drinks. But that's just the part of the story. We're never going to know the full story of it. Unfortunately, not happened in my brother's case. See, he been battling with drug addiction for many years. And it was back first of using prescription pills from doctors because at one point in time he went to a doctor for a ear infection and it got so bad for him that the doctor just gave him morphine and God knows what else for the pain. when really he could have probably did something else for it. Pain management, other options there. But that's what the doctor did for him. He just gave him a bunch of morphine, Oxycontin, Percocets, you name it. Any kind of narcotic that doctors can prescribe, chances are that's what my doctors or his doctors actually gave him. Until the doctors decided to cut him off because they've noticed he was overdoing it. And then he started couldn't find resources to go get the prescription because when you're in an active addiction, it gets a little much. Where basically your mind is only focused on that substance, and you'll do anything for that product. You'll do anything for Oxycontin. You'll do anything for morphine, etc. And for years, I was dealing with that with him. His addiction with harder drugs, because he's also, of course, done powdery substance. He's done a certain rock type. Now, before I continue on, the reason why I'm making these kind of subliminal messages like that, I can't exactly for sure who am I gonna make upset about certain things I'll say. Even though in real life I'm pretty blunt. I'm a pretty blunt person. I'll just say it to you in your face. But for regulations on YouTube, things like that, I try to filter myself out as best as I can. Not just for the viewers, not just for the platform, but I'm also, of course, about the kids. So if there's any kids that are actually watching this type of content, the one I'm describing, um, don't do drugs. Just plain and simple. Don't do drugs, kids, for certain things. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Like I said, things have changed there pretty recently over the years. So, anyway, with my brother, he was dealing with drug abuse, he was dealing with alcohol abuse, and it's what led to him to fentanyl. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what fentanyl is, which I'm surprised if nobody doesn't, fentanyl is basically, in simpler terms, a much higher, stronger drug than morphine, oxycodone. It's, in my perspective, the most dangerous substance that I know. There are other dangerous substances that are out there, but in my point in life, that's the most dangerous substance known to man. And it got to my brother because I had a certain family member, but for just for all intents and purposes, I'm not going to say their name or anything like that. I had a certain family member who was living with me, and I didn't realize that he had problems. I didn't realize what was exactly going on with him. And my brother would go to him, explain to him what he was dealing with and how much pain he was in. And that made him as a victim. He was a victim to this type of substance there where my certain family member introduced him to fentanyl because he was also, of course, off and on using it. He didn't really care. He was just in my eyes, after dealing with all of it, was a junkie in that point in time. And misery loves company. So he brought to him of the person that he was seeing at the time, which do, do not have any kind of communication with this person anymore. Haven't for years, so nobody tried to try to do an investigation. None of that stuff there because I I don't want it. I don't want it. You don't want it. All these intents and purposes is just to keep you safe. So anyway, for for the longest time there, fentanyl was the thing that was eating at him the most. And we just couldn't figure out the reason why. Because when I first started getting into him with his usage, his alcohol, things like that, I was under the simple mind of, oh, just why don't you just quit? Why don't you just stop? Why don't you just stop it? Just put that down and you're all good. Doesn't work that way. Because I was also, of course, using a different substance. Now, if anybody has seen me back in my time, I've talked about Spice or K2. The street name was Spice. And if nobody remembers it, and if nobody's ever seen it, well, one, you're pretty lucky. Thank God. But for those who haven't heard about it, K2 or Spice was a synthetic marijuana. It was basically at the time of trying to get around the loophole of getting legal marijuana. It's been sold at smoke shops. It was sold at gas stations. It was sold pretty much anywhere you can pretty much find it. And there was a point in time after being on it for 4 years where they started to say, you know what? We're gonna ban this. We're gonna ban this product and make it fully illegal to have. So at that point in time, that's when I decided to say I quit. I'm not gonna do it no more because my reasoning for getting it was I was trying to get I was trying to get cannabis. I was trying to get weed and I couldn't get it. It wasn't legal at the time, so if I was going to get it, I would have had to do a lot of things just to get the substance. And now, knowing at certain points in that time, getting things off the street, 10 out of 10 wouldn't recommend because you just don't know what's going to be in it. So, and I didn't want to go to the streets there to go get this spice or K2. I didn't want it. So, I decided to cold turkey it. Now, anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about of cold turkey, it means that I just straight up I put it down and I stopped it. Didn't use, I got rid of all stuff that I had connected towards it. Which, yes, some people can do that. Some people can just cold turkey it and either be fine or whatever. But in my case, I wouldn't recommend it. 10 out of 10 at this point in time. Do not recommend if you're dealing with the substance abuse of any type, alcohol, drugs, overeating, whatever the case may be, do not cold turkey it. Why? Because there is some bad side effects into just stopping altogether. I mean, you get the sweats, of course. That's some people it sounds like it's not a big deal. But then it comes with body tremors. It comes with night terrors. It comes with endless nights of not sleeping, which the body needs to rest when it comes to getting rid of the substance. When it comes to any kind of substance abuse, any kind of recovery, the body needs to recover. And if it's not getting the proper recovery, other things can possibly happen in those types, such as you could start hallucinating. You can start seeing things that are not there. You can start claiming that you're seeing shadow figures, or you're seeing spirits, or thinking that you're seeing the other side of of a spiritual realm, when really you're just hallucinating, and all the chemicals in your body are withdrawing. Those are one of the severe possible things of withdrawal. Is one, you're hallucinating. You're not you're not even able to focus on normal daily activities. Heck, you're not even focused on the things that you want to enjoy anymore in life. Everything is just always a chore. And it comes with also, of course, body aches. Things like if somebody just slipped and fell right on their butt. Normally, you'd probably be able to get up and just brush it off, and, ooh, that kind of stings. But you walk it off. You just either take like an ibuprofen or something, and you take care of the situation for a minute, and then go be on your way. Not in the case of an addict. In the case of an addict who is in the process of recovery, everything hurts. The mind hurts, your legs hurt, your shoulder hurts, your back, the physical part hurts, but the mental part too, which is always going to be the biggest one that connects to everything, hurts like nobody's business. Because the mind does not have the substance once that was once able to use to get through day-to-day life. It doesn't have it anymore. So it's having a hard time with adjusting with its new reality, or going back to its old reality of what it was before. And that could take time for it to readjust to back to what it used to be. It can take a lot of time for it. Some people it takes months. Some people can be days, depending on your usage. But a good 9 times out of 10, in my experience, it takes months and years to get back to where you used to be before you start the substance, before you start abusing it. It just it changes. It's it's a hard process. It's a hard time. And some things will come into light during the process of recovery. Now, will you be 100% what you used to be? I can't say that for certain. For others, it's different. Some people can recover back to default. Some people can recover back to what they used to be or whatever. But in my experience of what I've seen, you would actually be able to recognize the things that were going on, the other elements that you were dealing with. And that was the case of my brother. Because after finding out when when he was in recovery, he was 580 days clean before that he got down and had the fentanyl poisoning. I'm just going to say it. He had an overdose. Fentanyl overdose. Which again, in this case, they're for fentanyl overdose and fentanyl poisoning. Fentanyl poisoning is more towards somebody having had an overdose and they did not come back. Fentanyl overdose is basically where it is like it says, you're overdosing on the substance, on fentanyl, overdosing on harder drugs and all the other shit. You're overdosing, but you came back. And my brother, he had numerous of overdoses, but we brought him back. And this time, it ended up turning into a fentanyl poisoning, and it killed him. So with that, with my brother, that's how things ended up for him. I started losing my train of thought there, to be honest, there, guys. So because this is a part of my grief there that I deal with, grief and mourning. It's been 6 months since he passed away, and will I ever become completely like healed and I can just forget him? Forget him? No, I can never forget him. It can never happen because he was my twin brother. Now, everybody has their different relationships with family members, with brothers, with sisters, with mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, you name it, it's there. People have different relationships with family members. But in the relationship of me and my brother, Joshua Anderson, he was basically me, and I was him. And that's a different type of relationship that only twins can understand. Not trying to knock anybody's relationship with their family members, because your relationship is unique to them. That's your connection. And I will never knock anybody's connection with family members or whoever. But I'm just saying, in the case of twins, it goes a lot deeper. It goes way deeper. And it's hard to explain for that one for some people, but there'll be times there that I'm going to explain about me and my brother's relationship because I loved him. I loved him way more than I can love anybody. Not as much as I love my mom and my dad, of course, because they've been through heck and back with me. And those are the type of relationships that you just can't let go. Because they've been there for you, even through the good, through the bad. That's how it was with my brother and me. When times that I didn't have my mom and dad with us, I had him. He was with me all my life. There were points in time there where we weren't in each other's lives, but we lived in the same house for pretty much, well, actually all of our lives. No matter where we moved there, we were always together. So, um, it's a little different. And back to what I was saying before, though, with substance is just if you're really dealing with the problem and you're going through the recovery process. It's going to bring out to light of your issues of why you were using that type of substance to begin with. Because it's not always just a simple fact of we wanted to have fun, we wanted to party. It's not always the case. Some people always claim that, but that's just them hiding the truth. Because 9 times out of 10, in my experience, somebody's hiding something. They're usually hiding a certain pain sometimes, 9 times out of 10 in my experiences. And that was the case with my brother. As he's been growing up, certain things happened for him while he was growing up, such as a year ago, we come to find out my brother was diagnosed with bipolar disorder type 1 and psychosis. And he's had this for years. I never realized it until I remembered the signs. He would start seeing things even way before he was abusing drugs, even way before the alcohol, even way before any of all of this happened. He was seeing things that was not there. He was feeling things that weren't there. And his mood would change instantly. Rather be he'd be happy at one point playing around. Next minute he'd be angry as hell. And sometimes that would be the gamer side of him because when he would be playing video games, when he would have a difficult session with something like Overwatch or Cabal or even RuneScape, just temper goes off the freaking chains. It just blows up. And I know that because I'm a gamer too, so I get the whole losing temper thing, but this was different for him. He's broken numerous of keyboards. He's broken numerous of mouses, controllers, etc. And that to me is what I know about being a gamer. You know, if you're that type of gamer, you're gonna get real mad, and if it's not going the way that you wanted to go, you're going to explode, and you're going to lash out either physically or you're going to be verbally. And again, that was the case with my brother. One of the best gamers I know out there. You know, he had top rankings of Overwatch. Um, he was starting to get into Marvel Rivals and Cabal, other games there that he was really good at. But didn't realize that all of that was he was trying to hide something. And again, that's the case there in most cases for people who are in addiction. They're trying to cover something, and my brother did not realize until a year later, a year ago, that he had bipolar disorder with psychosis. And apparently he's had it for years. And so we were doing the best that we can to help him through that. Which doesn't make the recovery process any easier. I mean, yes, he identified it and things like that, but he had other things that were going on besides of the bipolar and the psychosis. Because for a couple of years, I want to say 2 years now, he he had a girlfriend they loved dearly, and they were supposed to before I get into that story there, by the way, I'm just gonna give simple information about it because I'm not going to go into deep about it as of yet. These are just gonna be things that I'm gonna be okay with right now, um, until I can explore other things about how to talk about it. If I can fully explain about it or whatever. I'm usually, again, I'm very a blunt person, but I make sure that it doesn't really hit too much triggering or too much of anything bad. So that's just a part of my journey. But anyway, so he had this girlfriend, and he actually got her pregnant during, and of course this is during the time of him being an active addiction of fentanyl, but he always wanted to be a dad. He always wanted to be a dad because he was a family man. I mean, he watched over me for years, and um, I'm not saying that he was going to be the best dad in the whole wide world or anything, because nobody's perfect. We all have our flaws. We all have some kind of quirk. We all have some kind of issue. But he would have been one of the best dads. And he was looking forward to it. And he was trying to use that as his fuel to for recovery, but that didn't work out because she too was dealing with bipolar disorder. So two people are having the same issue with just bipolar disorder. I can't say for certain if she had bipolar disorder with psychosis, but in my cases there for people who have psychosis, it's a little bit more trickier, a little bit more difficult, because one mood can change basically like that, can be instant, and it's usually the default of being depressed or angry or negative feelings. That, like I said, it also of course comes, but it also of course comes with the mind process too. You could be thinking of one time of you're ready to be a dad or you're ready to be a mom, and then the split second you don't want it anymore. Just instant. Yes, I do. Yes, I want to go play a video game. Yes, I want to be a mom. Yes, I want to do the family thing. No, maybe I should go do this, or maybe I should go. The bipolar disorder comes with not only just emotional, but it comes in the thought process too of how you're thinking about crap. And that's where we're ending up with on this part of the story is she she and him did talk, and of course we were sitting there together, which nobody was being forced on this decision or anything, because we always made sure in my family we always make sure to speak your mind. Don't be under the influence of anybody else but your own. And so we talked to her about that. My mother actually took her to the clinic when she lived with us in Arizona, because she was actually originally from Oregon. She was originally from Oregon, and she came out here to stay with Josh for a couple of days. Ended up being was supposed to be in the beginning actually of a little vacation trip, but it ending up with her living at the house with us for almost half of a year or so. And so my mother took her to the clinic and got her tested, and she was a few weeks pregnant. I can't remember exactly how many weeks. I think it was 13 at the time, 13 weeks or so. But I can't exactly remember because by the time that we found, she found out, and we found out, we were getting Josh prepared for the news because this was also, of course, at this time finding out that he relapsed again and had some issues. Then the conversation came up of she wasn't comfortable with Josh being an active addiction if he was gonna be a father, and basically she kind of waved that over his head. Which that part, in my case, you would want to do that for your own kid. You know, you just find out that you're gonna be a mom, you're gonna be a dad, and you're in active addiction. You want to make sure to clean up as best as you can for your child. In my particular case, I would think that, but it's a difficult road, and like I said, many people are different. And in this case, my brother would have done that. He said over and over, I'm done using, I'm done doing this, I'm done doing that, I'm going to get my act clean and for the child and da 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 da. And so he did for a little while. And for weeks, they were going back and forth with the whole kid thing. Yes, she was ready to be a mom. No, she doesn't want to be a mom. Yes, she wants to be a mom. I don't want to get fat. That was her main reason of not wanting this child, was she was going to get fat. Now, for people who have that type of reasoning, um, not judging you. You know, it's your choice, it's your life, of course, it's your body or whatever. But in my case, there, when I see that, I have a little trouble with it because obviously it's a stupid reason to me. To me, when I hear that type of reasoning from anybody, again, that's not me judging. That's just what I think of a dumb reason. It's because a part of the pregnancy process, you're going to have weight gain because, for anybody that doesn't know, when you have a child, it's going to grow in your stomach. It's going to grow in, the uterus and all that. It's going to grow in there. For things to grow, it needs space. And what happens when that's going on for a woman? It's going to expand. Things are going to expand. Things are going to change. The hormones, the heck, some women from I've seen get weird diagnosis. Some people get temporary diabetes and temporary ADHD or whatever. I don't know why that happens, but it happens. It's just a part of the process. It's a part of the process of pregnancy. You're going to expand. You're going to have these things that are happening. It's just going to happen. All of the things that go on in the pregnancy are a little bit out of control, but that's always going to be 10 out of 10 all the time. You're going to have weight gain. You're going to get bigger during that process of pregnancy. And there's nothing you can do, nothing you can say, nothing you can take to stop it. Because the child also, of course, needs nourishment. It needs substances, just like how you do. You need food? Well, now you're eating for two now. If you haven't heard that saying, now I'm eating for two. Yeah, you are. Because the child's going to have all whatever it is that you eat, whatever it is you drink first. before you get the substance. There's no way of changing that. It sounds mean. It sounds like uh, it sounds weird, but it is what it is. The process of pregnancy is different, but the child is always going to get that nourishment first before you do. So that's what she didn't want to happen, was just to become pregnant. Because yes, she, from what she's told me, she's had issues with weight gain and all that other crap. She's had weight issues apparently that I don't even know about. Now, as you guys can see too, though, I have pretty much the same problem. I'm a big guy. I own up to it. I own it. I'm a big guy. I get it. But that doesn't mean when you start losing weight that you have to be scared of gaining any kind of weight. That's just how it is. I'm gonna keep saying it. It is what it is. And when you get done with the pregnancy, it's gonna be a challenge to lose the excess weight that you may have gained during the process, but it can be done, you know, with doctors or with just the normal way of just going to the gym or going for a walk, certain exercises, watch your calories, etc. But it can be done. May take a while because that weight gain is not overnight. I didn't become this way overnight. This thing took years to happen. This this stuff took years to get to this size. And it's going to be the same way going reverse. It's going to take time getting to here. It's going to take time to go backwards. Backwards or forwards, it's still going to be the same thing. But it can be done. And those were things that we tried to encourage her with. I know you're scared about the weight gain. I know this and da 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 da. But we have doctors. We have resources for you that we can help you through that. Because not only that it was Josh's first child ever, that was going to be a daughter, by the way. It was going to be a daughter named Nikki. And we tried to encourage her over and over. We can get through this together. We can do it. We can do this together. Da da da. Because when you're going through anything,